learning a little bit more about Zoom each time. And today, what I wanted to do was continue to work on our mindfulness practice. And for you, those of you who haven't been in the session before, we do basically 3 parts of it. And that is a grounding practice, a close placement practice in which we are tuning into an internal sensation in our body, and then a environmental practice where we're tuning into our sense perceptions on the environment, internal and external. If we have time, I'd also like to introduce something that I think is particularly helpful in this day and age of what we're going through, and that is a caring kindness practice, or in the traditional translation, loving kindness for oneself and others. So let's see how much we have time for, and we'll work on that. If you have questions about the practice or about practice you've done before this, please go to the chat box. There's a little bubble along the bottom for most of you on the screen, and you can open up the chat and type a message there. So let's get started. What we want to do is find a comfortable seat. It's good to sit up and pay attention. So rather than leaning back in the chair, if you need to scoot your butt back against the bottom of the back of the chair to give you a little extra support, that's fine. But then lean forward just off the back so that you're upright and straight. You want to feel like your spine is a tent pole and the rest of your body is hanging from that, like the canvas before it's pulled out to make a tent. If you let the back of your head get a little longer, your chin comes in naturally, so you can feel that. It's good to let your arms just hang to the side and then swivel at the elbows, swivel up and put your palms either palm down on each thigh just behind your knees, or you can put palms up, one hand on top of the other in your lap just below your navel there. Those are both traditional postures. If you have long legs, like I do, it means your knees may be higher than your hips, and that puts a strain. You have to kind of hold your lower back and exercise your legs a little bit. In that case, you can do what I do, which is just gently cross them in front of you, kind of cross over at the ankles. And then you can hold your posture without straining. You want your lips to be just lightly touching or slightly parted is okay. But mainly we want to be breathing through our nose. We want to breathe at least in through our nose. And then if your lips are slightly parted, it's okay to breathe out through your nose and mouth. As far as relaxation goes, the out breath kind of signals our subconscious nervous system towards relaxation. The in breath towards activation. So when we're working with our breath, we want to let the out breath be a little bit longer and let it go all the way out. When we're just doing our mindfulness practice, we're more observers of our breathing than directors of our breathing. So that's our basic posture. And for the start, let's gently close our eyes. Again, if you find your head tilting down forward, you might get a little sleepy. If you find your chin floating upward, you might get a little spaced out. So find that middle way. Just tune into the presence of your body. You know, your body is always in the here and now. Your mind is a time machine that can go into the past and future, but your body is your reference point for here and now. Your breathing is happening, and we work with the breathing because it happens by itself. It's rhythmic, and you can tune into it. And breathing is a reflection of our state of mind. When we're uptight, our breathing is high in our lungs and very shallow. When we're relaxed, it's easier to breathe deeply. Conversely, if our breathing's tight, our mind gets uptight. If we breathe deeply, our mind relaxes more. Tune into the body, tune into the breathing. And now scan for any unnecessary tension. Tension that you don't really need to hold your posture. You need to have some to maintain your posture, but your jaw does not need to be clenched to hold your posture. Let your jaw just soften and relax. And you can do this particular technique of clench your jaw tightly and then let go. And it induces a little bit extra relaxation. Eyes, ears, the back of your head, the back of your neck, your throat. Just let it all soften. Shoulders, let your shoulders just hang there. Again, if you feel some tension, you can intentionally lift your shoulders up and tighten them right around your ears and then boom, drop. Upper arms, collarbone, shoulder blades, chest, upper back, rib cage all around, lower back, and deep belly. Sometimes our stomach and our deep belly, we're clenching and holding tension there. So again, clench them intentionally, kind of clench your stomach and tighten your abs, and then, with an out breath, let go. Hips, pelvis, thighs, forearms, and hands. Knees, calves, ankles, and feet. From the top of your head all the way down, breathe out and sweep out gently any unnecessary tension. And notice where your awareness is. Wherever you place your awareness, that's where your mind goes. And usually, if we're not thinking about it, what ends up happening is we think that our minds are up in our heads just behind our forehead. So let's just let our mind fall back and down, like falling into a big easy chair. And then let your mind float down like a leaf, gently settling to the bottom of the pond, behind your throat, behind your heart, behind your solar plexus, behind your stomach and deep belly. Let it sink down there and rest a few inches below your navel, just in front of your spine. It's quiet down there. You can feel the gentle movement of expansion and contraction of your lower torso as the breath goes in and out, like gentle currents at the bottom of that pond. And with each out breath, just feel like you're sinking deeper. Just really let yourself, without losing your posture, just sink right down into the seat that you're on. And then imagine sinking deeper, down through the floor, and merging with the earth. Imagine that your lower body is part of the earth. Your upper body extends upward, majestically, like a mountain. part of the earth, but extending upward. Just being part of the earth, there's a sense of equanimity, of solidness. That's as grounded as you can be. And as that mountain, let things come and go. Let your thoughts come and go. Let your breath come and go as it will, like the wind. Be an observer more than a director. Short or long, deep or shallow, let your breath be like the wind coming and going. Let your mind be open. Open like the sky. Excuse me. The sky is vast. Clouds come and go. Birds fly across it without leaving a trail. Let your thoughts be like that. And let your mind, in which the thoughts appear, be like the sky. Letting everything come and go. Be open to whatever you're going to experience, like the sky that's open above the earth, looking down without partiality or bias. Body like a mountain, breath like the wind, mind like the sky. As we go through the practice, if thoughts come up, just let them come and go, as I said, like clouds floating by or birds zipping by. The sky of your mind. But if they grab hold of you and take you away into a daydream, into a series of thoughts, like a daydream, when you realize it, when you wake up from that, smile, have a sense of humor, because everybody's mind wanders, and think, oh, that was a dream, back to here and now. Body and breathing. Let your eyes gently open just a little bit so that you're still looking somewhat downward, aware of the space that you're sitting in, aware of your body, here, present, here and now in this space. Tune your attention to awareness of your posture and awareness of the sensation, the physical sensation, as the breath comes in of filling. You can feel the breath come in through your nostrils and fill your torso all the way down. It doesn't go all the way down to your stomach, it only fills your lungs. But because your diaphragm pushes down to fill your lungs, it'll feel like your whole torso is filling with your in-breath. Then as the diaphragm comes up to push the air out, it'll feel like your whole torso is emptying and the breath is going back out. Your awareness might rest on the deep belly, and that's where you're feeling it. Might be your chest. Might be coming in and out through the nostrils. Eyes slightly open. Just notice where you're feeling the in-breath and how it fills you. Feeling the out-breath and how it empties. We'll do that for a minute or two. And again, if you get drowsy, just sit up straighter and open your eyes. a little wider and a little higher gazing. If your chin floats up and you get spaced out, bring it down and lower your gaze a little. And if you've drifted off into a daydream, when you realize it, it's like waking up in the morning. You're like, oh, that was a dream. Smile. Have a sense of humor. Be kind to yourself. And just think, where was I? Ah, yes. Posture, filling, empty. Now to sharpen your attention, notice the three phases. The breath starting to come in, you can feel it coming through your nostrils, filling you, and then that feeling in your deep belly when you're full. Then starting to empty from your deep belly, emptying, and the last bit of breath going out your nostrils. Three phases coming in, three phases going out, with a general awareness of your posture. We'll do 7 more of these breaths, and we'll count backwards. So we're starting with 7, and on the out breath of this breath, think 6 more. Fill, empty, 5 more, and so on. And no more. Here we are. Very good. So let's wake ourselves up for a moment. And if you have any questions, I've just allowed you to unmute yourself. You just have to click on the mute button. It should be able to unmute. See if that works for you. Anybody have any comments or questions? I see everybody's still muted.
How do you carry this to the golf course?
Ah, there we go. I can't hear you quite.
Sorry, how about there?
Hi.
Hi, Pat Potter out of Canada.
Hi, Pat.
How do you carry this to the golf course?
Well, I'm glad you asked. The second session we're going to do after this is going to be about golf.
Okay.
So that one would be a little more appropriate in the next session.
All right. I'm just ahead of myself.
Can you tune in?
Oh, I'll be there.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right.
Any other questions?
Have you done any meditation recordings?
Well, these are recorded. All of these sessions are recorded.
Uh-huh.
And as well, these sessions are recorded on a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And if you go on to the drjoeparent.com website, no spaces, and DRJOEPARENT, I'll type it in here.
Okay, thank you very much.
If you go on there and go to the free resources section,
yeah,
there should be audio and video recordings.
Oh, great. Thank
of
you.
mindfulness. And you can always, as I said, go, this will also, on drjoeparent.com, on the free videos, you'll see the mindfulness ones that we've recorded from these Zoom sessions. And you can always just play it and put it to the side, so you don't have to look at the screen, just listen to it. And that'll work fine.
Could you record the Q&A session that you conduct later on? I can't always make those.
Hi, Fred.
Hello.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
Those are also recorded.
They are great.
And they should be accessible. And they should be accessible both on the YouTube channel, but definitely it should be available at the website.
Okay, thank you.
If you can't find it, email us and we'll direct you. So one of the questions that sometimes comes up, people are doing this practice and they get a little drowsy, as I mentioned. And that's because it's a time when we're not doing anything and we don't have to think about anything, and that's like bedtime. But if we look deeper, the brain waves that get generated in meditation, we have different levels of brain waves. Now they've identified these with, alpha, beta, theta, and all of those things, but really it's a continuum. It's how many vibrations per second. And the most active is, the two most active are our conscious states, and the two least active are sleep states, the falling asleep and then the deep sleep. But what's interesting is that the more relaxed state is very close to the falling asleep state. So it's pretty easy to move over into that. I have a friend, Andrew Holacek, who teaches lucid dreaming. And in that light sleep state, you can have awareness and actually be aware that you're dreaming. In the same way, it's not that far from this very, very relaxed state where you're aware of what you're thinking, but you're not taken away by it or caught up in it. So I found that interesting. The other thing is that people do this and let go of the thinking process and find that they're simply being there with their body and with their breath. And sometimes a moment of panic comes up. And they think, well, how will I know when I'm done? Well, I'm not thinking, am I okay? And there's this habit that we have of identifying with our thought patterns. And if we don't have this kind of echo echo where we generate our thoughts and then we hear our thoughts. And ironically, it's a little bit like an echo. If you didn't know what an echo was and you're in the mountains and you go and you cough or you go, oh boy, this is great. And then you hear a distant, oh boy, this is great. You think, oh, is there somebody else here? Well, that's what happens in our minds. We generate a thought, we hear it, and we go, there must be somebody else here. And that's what we think of ourselves. So we start to identify with our thought stream as if that's who we are. But remember, we have thoughts, but we are not our thoughts. They're the clouds floating through the sky of our minds. And if we identify with the sky and aren't afraid of moments when there's clear sky and no clouds, then we tune into a little bit deeper experience of our true nature. So I thought I'd share that a little bit with you today. The other thing that happens is we trick ourselves and we start commenting on our experience so that we separate ourselves a little bit from it. And again, we don't realize that this thinking mind has crept back in. And it can happen in just a flicker. You know, you're sitting there, you're really present, but then there's a little comment. That commentator said, yeah, this feels really good. This is cool. And then says, and what it reminds me of is that yoga class I took. I wonder what happened to that instructor. I really liked her. I think she moved to New York. I love New York, that play we saw. And suddenly you're attending a play in New York in a zippy little sequence of 5 thoughts. So any little flicker can just turn into that bonfire of thoughts. And our practice is catching it. When we realize that that our mind is on fire, we can do what you do if your clothes are on fire. Stop, drop, and roll. When your clothes are on fire, we want to stop, drop, and breathe. So at any point, when you realize that that's what you're doing in the practice, when you have the daydream, and you realize it, you go, oh, and you drop, you stop being caught by it, you drop into back into here and now, into your body and your breathing, and you do that breathing, stop, drop, and breathe. Now,
Dr.
what
Joe?
you can do, hi Doug, I just want to finish one thing. What you can do is then take that into your everyday life, and I use it if I come up to a red light. I use that as my signal. Because you develop momentum when you're driving, you want to keep going, stop. I stop whatever I'm thinking about and stop my momentum of going forward, both physically in the car and mentally, and then take the opportunity to breathe. So now I don't rush through yellow lights anymore. I say, yeah, let's stop and use it as an opportunity to meditate. You can do that. I particularly recommend it when you get a text or an email signals on your computer. You don't have to jump for it. You don't have to respond. And eventually you can do that with your phone and just not have Lavian, the bell rings, reach for the phone, jump for the phone, but just say, oh, I'm going to change that and create an alternative. Herbert Benson called it the relaxation response. And respond by relaxing instead of respond by getting more uptight. Take it, stop, drop, at least one breath, and then mindfully go into your action. Doug, what were you saying?
I was back to the sleepiness when you were talking about the beginning. I noticed even like after sleeping, my body is fine, but I have this, my eyelids are really kind of sleepy. And I've heard that could be conditioning, where it's just habit. And you mentioned that it's similar to the relaxation state. I have techniques that I can do to help with sleepiness, but I'm just wondering if that, just being aware of that is, just knowing that that could be similar to relaxation state, if that will help.
I think so. The question I would have is, when you have techniques for sleepiness, do you mean to get to sleep or to keep from sleeping?
keep from. I don't have any trouble sleeping.
So this is actually presented in a 1,000-year-old meditation text on this practice, and they say, they actually physically say, open your window. I mean, it was cold in Tibet, so open your window or open the door and let some cold air come in, splash cold water on your face, and always invigorate your posture. And that's something to be aware of. When you go off into a daydream, and this interesting thing happens. When I was saying, either you go, and you're all spaced out, or you go, oh yeah, oh, that was a struggle going with that guy, and I really had to, boy, that was such a tough argument. And you wake up and you go, oh, what am I doing down here? And then you sit up and reinvigorate your posture, reconnect with your posture. So the daydream will take you out of your posture, and then you're back into it. To prevent the sleepiness, well, the first thing is, fighting it doesn't always work. So having a sense of humor and saying, this is this is part of why, because I'm getting relaxed, and I'm putting the brakes on the speed, and just the contrast of how speedy I was to how sitting here and not needing to do anything. That contrast creates the brakes, and you tend to fall asleep. And also, as I said, getting closer to that, the brain waves settling down, and you getting closer to that dreamy kind of state. So it's always sit up more and lift your gaze. Look straight ahead instead of down. Keep your chin down, but look your eyes straight ahead.
Right, yeah, that helps.
Those things will help.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's go on. And now, again, we're doing environmental awareness, so look out above your screen. Keep your chin a little bit tucked in. You don't have to be severe about it, but just so that you're not floating up. And look out above the screen and open up your peripheral vision as far to the sides as you can see without moving your eyes, and above and below. Big screen field of vision. Your awareness can move around somewhat in that field without you moving your eyes. And just notice colors, shapes, and shades of light and dark. Colors, shapes, shades of light and dark. You can give simple labels, but there's no need for a lot of extra commentary. Square, round. Bright, dim, blue, green, things like that. Now keep your eyes open, looking straight ahead, and listen for sounds. I can hear the fan on my computer. You can hear my voice coming through, and the spaces between the phrases. Listen for sounds in your room, and then open up your hearing in all directions. Listen for sounds as far away in all directions as you can hear. High and low, loud and soft. Again, you can give simple labels, but notice if you get sucked into commentary like, is that a fire engine or an ambulance? I wonder where it's going, blah, 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 blah. Okay, no, just siren. That's all you need. Music. Air conditioning, like that. Tune back into your body. Feel the outside of your body, the clothes on your skin, the air on the skin of your face. and hands. The air coming in and out through your nostrils, cool and dry coming in, warm and moist going out. Now more internal sensations, feeling how your body moves as you breathe, expanding and contracting as the air comes in and goes out. Can you notice subtler internal sensations? Maybe your stomach's rumbling. You might feel your heartbeat in your chest or the pulse in your neck, wrists, or fingertips. Notice if there's a smell in your room. Maybe it's coffee coming in from the kitchen. We haven't been eating for a while, so there's probably no taste. But if you've eaten, you still might have lingering taste. And now for this practice, we're going to let the mind wander, but just wandering among those five senses. Oh, we actually have six senses, and that is the perception of thoughts. Notice, again, if your mind is like the sky, notice thoughts appearing and disappearing. And if you notice them coming and going without them taking you along, then that's just another perception. You might label them happy, sad, past, future. Simple, not a lot of commentary, not getting hooked by them. If you do, again, smile, come back to your body, breathing, sense perceptions. So we'll do that for a couple of minutes. If your mind is attracted to what you're seeing, stay with that for a few moments. Just notice. If your mind gets attracted to sound, then move to that. Stay with that for a few moments. If you get an itch, tune into your body. Don't scratch it right away. See how long you can just stay with it and notice what it feels like. Same thing with a little ache. Move if you have a sharp pain, but a little ache, explore it for a little bit. You'll notice when one sense perception is in the foreground, your attention, of your awareness, all the others fade to the background. Noticing what you're seeing and hearing, thoughts don't appear so much. Paying attention to what you're thinking becomes very internal, and the external perceptions fade out. Not completely, but they sort of go out of focus. Now from here, let's transition into the loving kindness or caring kindness practice. You can leave your eyes open or close them, but tune in again to your internal sensation, your internal feelings. feelings that you have, particularly feelings about yourself. Frustration, guilt, blame, inadequacy, any negative feelings that you have toward yourself, try to identify them. Reflect if you felt that way. And then you're going to gather all of those into a crystal made of light that rests in the center of your chest at heart level. As you breathe in, gather any negativity you feel about yourself into that crystal. It is transformative. And when you breathe out, the crystal radiates out cool moonlight of kindness, patience, happiness, or serenity to yourself. Breathe in and gather any negativity you have about yourself into that crystal. Breathe out. Fill yourself with kindness, patience, and joy. Breathe in any struggle or suffering you have. Breathe out and extend to yourself kindness and relief. Sometimes it's hard to generate happiness or joy to ourselves, but at least we can generate relaxation and relief. Breathe in unhappiness and struggle. Breathe out kindness, patience, and relief. Now we're going to extend that outward. Think of everybody that you know, particularly the people you care about, but include people that you just are acquainted with, and even people you have difficulty with. They all experience unhappiness and struggle. They all want to feel kindness and relief. So as you breathe in, imagine you gathering all of that struggle and unhappiness from all the people you know into your heart crystal in your heart center. As you breathe out, radiate the cool moonlight of kindness that fills them with peace and relief from suffering. Gather in all their unhappiness and struggle, radiate out kindness, peace, and relief. Now, as much as you can, include all living beings, even people you might be very upset with, because they also have struggle and unhappiness. And much of their bad behavior, what we call bad behavior, comes out of their struggles and unhappiness. Wouldn't it be better to gather their unhappiness in and radiate out to them kindness so that they have peace and relief, and then they won't take their unhappiness out on others? It's a bit of a flip. We want to take away the unhappiness of people who are bad actors, because if they're free from the struggles, the ego insecurity, the need to build themselves up at others' expense, then they won't do those bad behaviors so much. That's how this practice works. Now let go of that visualization and just relax with a few breaths. In and out. 3. In and out. 2. In and out. 1. And relax. So, that's our session. it is interesting. I've been in a lot of dialogues where people have said, I don't want to help those people who are so mean and so nasty. But if we look underneath of where that meanness and nastiness is coming from, it comes from their personal unhappiness, insecurity. Most bullies have been bullied. And so do we want to wish them ill? No, they'll just take that ill feeling. This is the image of the realm of hatred, that people who put out hatred invite it back, it reverberates and creates more hatred. So if we join in and buy into their trip of, oh, they're sending us hatred, we're going to send hatred back to them, it only escalates things. Take that hatred into your crystal, transform it, and radiate out. You don't need to feel that way. You don't need to feel that way. Sometimes when I say that, it reminds me of Obi-Wan Kenobi. These aren't the droids you're looking for. You don't need to feel that way. And if we wish that for others, it helps us make the world a better place. And so the way we end these sessions, and the last thing that we do, and I'll stay on for an extra few minutes if people want to unmute themselves and ask any more questions. But we want to dedicate whatever benefit we've generated from this session and share it with others. So I'll do it in pieces and you repeat after me, okay? May the practice we've just done be of benefit to others as well as myself. And now we've made it even more powerful for ourselves and others by sharing it. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I'll stay on if anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask a question or make a comment.